What's good, YouTube? Welcome back to the channel. This is the Texans Better Talk Show. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. Really appreciate your support. Yeah, it's not a fun one today. It is not a fun one today. The Texans lose to the Chiefs by 8 points in Arrowhead. And I'm just going to get this started on more of a pessimistic note, but one that I think is very probable. There's a chance, and I'd say more likely than not, when we're in the off season this summer and we're looking back on this 2024 season and we go, you know what? You know what the game that broke the Texans back was? It was that Chiefs game in Arrowhead. And I know that sounds pessimistic. I think it's very true. I don't think it's crazy to say. And let me also preface that by saying this is not by any means the Lions situation right now, right? The Lions had a much higher ceiling than us, a much higher floor than us, and they had way more injuries than us. And yet people still kind of see them as contenders. And the only reason why they don't is because of those injuries. The Texans never had that high of a ceiling. Their floor is a lot lower, and we're not nearly as injured as them. But that being said, let's get into this. I'm going to try to break through every facet of this game. So if you like that, I would really encourage you to like and subscribe. Try to get as much content out for you guys as possible. But let's start and let's break into the number one thing we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about the injuries, and we're going to go from least significant to most significant. The least significant injury today, and by the way, obviously all injuries are bad, so don't come at me. But Shaq Mason getting injured, that was something where I was like, oh, damn. Okay, let's see Kendrick Green, right? Like, honestly, I don't think anyone was horribly terrified that Shaq Mason got injured, and I really respect him. He's a veteran. Obviously, don't want to see anyone go down. But I wanted to see Kendrick Green. Shaq Mason's been playing the worst football of his life and career. I wanted to see what Kendrick Green had. Was Kendrick Green perfect? No. Was he better than Shaq Mason? Looked a tiny bit better on run plays. But yeah, he got beat too. So, this line's in shambles the way it is right now. It's just in shambles. And when Blake Fisher went down, I was like, dude, if that's a knee injury, I was about to lose my mind because we would not have been able to be prepared for that. But Blake Fisher's fine. He was back in later in the game. But yeah, so Shaq Mason. The next injury, this might be controversial. And I'm going to preface this by saying I'm assuming Jimmy Ward and Tank Dell's injuries are both season ending. So in order of kind of importance, I have to go. I think Tank Dell's injury is the next least significant. So I don't think it's as significant as Jimmy Ward. Obviously, they're both extremely significant in their own right. And let me explain why. This defense was the hallmark trait of this Texans team, right? Jimmy Ward plays a position that no one else can play on this team. And during the game, it looked like Miles Bryant was getting in there as a corner. Jeff Okudah looked like he was getting on there at corner, outside corner, and Kamari Lassiter was playing the nickel. I don't think it's possible. And I completely understand not wanting to run like a 3 linebacker set against some of the fastest, receivers you're going to see that are on the Chiefs, Worthy, Hollywood Brown, and all that. But yeah, this nickel spot is compromised. Ward was the one person you didn't want to get injured on defense because no one can play the role. Now with Ward and Petrie out, I don't know what they do at the nickel spot. I mean, Okuda just, whether it's his fault or not, seems to get picked on. And yeah, the secondary took a huge shot, which I do think is an issue. And I think it's more of an issue than the Texans offense because the Texans offense hasn't been the driving force of your team. But moving on to Tank Dell, obviously this injury is terrible. I think Tank Dell was playing his best game this season. He finished with 98 yards and a touchdown and got injured. What was that, in the third quarter, I believe? So yeah, this injury to Tank Dell, it sucks, obviously. Dislocated kneecap is what they're saying. They don't know if he'll need surgery or not yet. At least we haven't gotten the update. It's not good. It's season ending 100%. And there's definitely debates on whether or not he will be, able to play football again. That's definitely the bleakest outlook. The next best case scenario would be he plays, like half of the 2025 season. I mean, knee injuries are brutal. He's already broken a leg. Yeah, it's not looking good for Tank Dell. His whole knee was being stabilized from the hip to the ankle, and dislocated kneecap doesn't sound as bad as maybe some other injuries do, but Yeah, I mean, he could have blown out his knee essentially, like Nick Chubb did, basically. I see it kind of as like a Nick Chubb level injury, where you just kind of tear everything in your knee. So yeah, not looking good for Tank Dell, which sucks. That was one of his best games. Obviously, seeing Stroud on the sideline upset was really hard to see, and there's this kind of weird kind of like argument going around that Stroud was like being a baby or like a wuss or stealing airtime. I've heard that. I've heard people say Stroud like stop stealing airtime. Dude, let the man grieve for his like his best friend, his receiver on that team. Like, come on, y'all are so weird sometimes. Come, I'm not phased at all. Like people are saying they don't want to pay Stroud now because he's crying on TV because his best friend just got a season potentially career ending injury. Like, come on, man, what are we talking about right now? So yeah, that's the three main injuries. Blake Fisher, I'm not counting his injury; he was back in the game. So yeah, I think it goes Shaq Mason, like okay, fine. Tank Dell hurts, brutal. Jimmy Ward really hurts, extremely brutal. You hope you can get Jimmy back, but I mean, none of these dudes are going to be back for Wednesday's game against the Ravens. I'm assuming, and hopefully we can somehow get Juice Scruggs back there just to get some more depth at the line. So that's the injuries. The next thing I'll talk about, and I'm not going to sit here and say that this was the reason we lost the game, but the refereeing in this game, I think, is the worst refereeing I've ever seen. I don't say ever seen. This season with the Texans, it is the worst refereeing I've ever seen. Again, not the reason why we lost, but the scoop and score that got called back because of a roughing the passer was ridiculous. I did not think that was roughing the passer at all. Stingley had an offensive holding, a phantom offensive holding. Didn't agree with that at all. Tank Dell had a hold. Didn't agree with that at all. Nico Collins was called offsides too. In the broadcast, they show the play and his foot's behind the red line. Like, and I'm not someone who believes the Chiefs get like bailed out by refs. I'm not. I don't believe that. But like, I'm watching this game and I'm thinking like, this is why these negative attitudes exist against the Chiefs. They get every call. I mean, they really do. At least they got every call this game. Again, not the reason why we lost, but I'm out here thinking, come on, are we going to have a single call go our way? Like, just the refereeing in this was atrocious. It was completely ridiculous. And, if Tank Dell maybe doesn't get injured and it's a close shootout at the end and we lose by, like, a last second field goal or something, then, yeah, you would definitely look at this refereeing situation differently. Just other things kind of mask that. So I can't be super mad at the refs because of all the injuries and everything that happened. But just ridiculous, ridiculous refereeing at all. And so now I want to talk about moving into like the offense and the defense's performance. So look, yeah, Andy Reid cooked. Our defense, I was fine with how they played for the most part. I I was expecting a lot more production out of Daniil Hunter and out of Will Anderson with those with that tackle duo, but they were getting chipped. I mean, Andy Reid was dialing up protections. Mahomes was getting the ball out lightning quick. Mahomes didn't throw a ball for 10 air yards the whole game. So all those big plays that happened, they were like short passes that were taken up the field. A lot of the times during the game too, Mahomes was overthrowing people in the beginning, the first half, because of the pressure. He was throwing balls at people's feet that were like bouncing off the ground. He almost got intercepted. In a different game, another team picks that off. Like he wasn't perfect in the beginning of this game. And the defense was getting to him. You had that really nice Christian Harris sack where he had nowhere to go with the football, couldn't get rid of it. But at the second half, what did Andy Reid do? What did their offense do? They made adjustments. And you see the ball coming out quicker. When the blitz is coming, you see Mahomes just dump it off to a speedy running back or receiver. Worthy played way better than I thought he was going to play. I mean, I think a lot of that is just scheming him open on plays. I'm still not a fan of Worthy, but that happened, I guess. Also was expecting a bigger day out of Kelsey and Noah Gray, but the tight ends were held somewhat in check. It was really just a Worthy kind of beating you, and Mahomes being able to get the ball out quickly obviously had that touchdown rush as well. So, yeah, and this is the thing with the Chiefs. They're going to pick apart good defenses. I mean, this is why they're 14-1, right? They're going to pick apart good defenses. I thought our defense played really well in the first half, all things considered. Second half, it started to fall apart. Obviously you lose Jimmy, and now you're seeing Kamari Lassiter play in. You're seeing Jeff Okuda out there for a long time, and you're just like, oh my gosh, it's falling apart, which is definitely what it felt like. But yeah, over still expected more out of Will, and Daniil was kind of disappointed in that. So now let's flip over and let's talk about our offense. Slowik needs to go. Like Slowik must be fired. He cannot be brought back in next year. And I don't think they're going to make that move. I don't see D'Amico Ryans firing Bobby Slowik. I mean, they worked together at San Fran. D'Amico, a complete vibe, gut feeling here. He just seems too nice to fire the dude. But and let me ask this question, y'all. What is Bobby Slowik in charge of? He's in charge of the Texans offense, right? What part of this offense looks better than it did last year? The only thing you could say is the rushing attack. And we have Joe Mixon. And even then, once Singletary got in the system, he was doing well. Like, you have to remember, last year we started, games with Dameon Pierce damn near half the season, more than that. So, like, really, this offense has just regressed. I can't think of a single aspect of it that, has gotten better. Like, the offensive line was better last year. Stroud was better last year. The receivers were better last year. Yeah, I mean, I guess, yeah, it's really just Mixon. And then Singletary didn't even play that last year. Dameon Pierce was unusable. And then I watched the games, and Bobby Slowik sometimes feels like he has no grasp of an NFL offense. He is calling screen after screen to Nico Collins with these sideways passes, and he's putting Hutch on Trent McDuffie. And that's how he's trying to run the football with Nico Collins. Hey, Bobby, if you're going to throw, you know what? Don't call a screen and have your sixth best wide receiver try to block an all-pro corner. And it's so obvious that he's calling the screen. It is like the most obvious, like, okay, passing hasn't worked, running hasn't worked. Guess what's coming? A screen. -1 yards, -3 yards, 0 yards. Did we have a screen go for a yard? I don't think we did. Stop calling them. You cannot call sideways passes against all pro corners. They're too good to do that. McDuffie is too good. Like, no one does that consistently. Like, is that the only idea you have to juice up your offense? Like, if Nico Collins is getting bracketed and clamped out there, the only solution is to throw him a screen and have Hutch block someone he cannot block, and he's shown that 3 times during the game. He cannot block whoever that corner is. He cannot do it. I mean, it is absolutely ridiculous. Stop the sideways screens. The other piece of it, too, is whatever his system is for getting plays to the huddle, it's too long. I don't know what the verbiage is. Maybe it's on Stroud not communicating it well. There were times in this game where they had to call that timeout in the second half because no one knew the play call. So that was bad. You've got Hutchinson not knowing where to line up. You've got Nico Collins. I think it's a BS call, but still lining up offsides. Just the inability for this offense to make anything look easy is amazing. It's kind of shocking. And it starts with Bobby Slowik. And it'd be one thing if it was like, yeah, we just don't have the offensive line. Because you could have made that case halfway through the season. Seriously, I wasn't. I thought it was more on Bobby. But you could have been like, dude, their line's terrible. What do you expect Bobby to do? The line pass blocked pretty well. I mean, the only sack Stroud took was when he ran out of bounds. That was idiotic as well. But there's just been so much backwards momentum throughout the season. On the offensive side of the ball, you have to fire that guy. And it's the play calling makes no sense. Everything, it feels so predictable. That's the other thing. Bobby's offense feels so predictable, but when I'm watching Andy Reid and Mahomes on a 3rd and 5, it's like they're going to get it every time. You just know they're going to get it every time. How is it possible? I don't understand. I mean, just Bobby Slowik completely outclassed, not even close, not even in the same area code as Andy Reid this whole game. I mean, seriously, just awful, awful. And I don't care about personnel. I don't care about talent. These are all professional athletes. It is Bobby Slowik's responsibility to have a functioning offense, and he does not seem to be able to do that. And I don't care about the one good drive we had where we scored that nice touchdown, Stroud hitting Dell, or Dalton. I don't care. It does not erase the dumb mistakes. What did they say all week? You can't come into Arrowhead and make stupid mistakes. And we've got to call timeouts because we can't line up. We're getting holding calls. We don't know what routes we're running. We're not getting the play out fast enough. We've got receivers running into other receivers, taking them out for the season. Just god awful, man. Just god awful. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty much my rant on all the negatives. I'll try to talk about some positives real quick. Some positives. This is not even a positive because it's so like probably not going to happen. But please, you need Deontay Johnson. I'm very against Odell Beckham. You probably need Odell Beckham. You would need Deontay Johnson. Not that he's ever going to get off waivers, but if he does, that's a phone call you have to make. Odell. I know this is off-season talk, but I'm in love with Garrett Wilson. Please, Garrett Wilson, put Garrett Wilson on this team. Yeah, you've got to beef up that receiver room. But, talk about this season, like, you need another receiver. I don't know who it is. You have to. I mean, you've got Nico. Nico can get bracketed. You've got no one else to throw the football to. And I know we didn't have Metch even when he comes back. I'm not confident in Mechie and Hutch as my 2 and 3. I would rather just feed Joe Mixon the ball 40 times a game and hope he doesn't get hurt. So, okay, that wasn't that positive. But some positives about this game. We have something in Blake Fisher. I really believe that. Blake Fisher, this is the second game he started. He's looked very good. Really glad he wasn't hurt with an injury. That's another positive. Blake Fisher, not being injured. And if you want to make the argument that this is a Super Bowl level team and we only lost by 8 points, yada, yada, yada. Guys, the Chiefs never blow anyone out. Okay, this game was never close. Like, this game never felt that close to me. The moment it got within like 4 points, Mahomes went down and scored a touchdown. So it never felt that close. And everything on offense feels clamped. But, so yeah, that's not a positive for me. What's another positive? I mean, Christian Harris had the sack. That was good. Kendrick Green, maybe he's serviceable looking forward. Yeah, and that's really all I got. I mean, it just really feels like this game highlighted all of our inadequacies as a team. And yeah, it really feels like this could have been the game that broke us. So I'm sorry. I wish I had better things to say. Or is there a positive out there? What do you guys think? I mean, I don't want to end it like this, and I'm really trying to think of like something else to say, and I really can't. I don't know. I think this is the game that breaks us, honestly. But and not that you had any high expectations, not that you had Super Bowl aspirations at this point in the season, but yeah, you don't have enough, I think, with these injuries, and obviously I'm still going to support the team, still going to watch, still going to make these videos and comment on the games. So like and subscribe for that. But this definitely feels like the worst loss we've had in a very long time, all things considered. But other than that, we got to stay positive. We got to look. I'd feel a lot better if we got Deontay Johnson. I'll tell you that right now. Deontay Johnson. If you get that, I'll be in a lot better mood. But thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you thought about the game, and I'll see you on the next one. Peace out.